Hello everyone, welcome to another chapter. Chapter 10, Basics of Capital Budgeting and Cash Flows Evaluation. In this chapter, we will be learning how companies manager allocate financial resources to different projects. So if we talk about capital budgeting, it is all about a sizable amount of fund outlay that company has to incur at the beginning of the project and that requires company to take a number of actions. Consequently, firm needs some procedures and tool to analyze and select the best one. If you remember, the ultimate goal of a financial manager is to maximize shareholder wealth. So to maximize shareholder wealth, financial manager actually needs to evaluate several projects and select the best one that contribute to the ultimate goal of shareholder wealth maximization. In this process, financial managers actually take a number of actions and tools to select the best one. If we say long-term investment, that may include investment in research and development, identifying and exploring new market or developing new product and services, and then deliver that product and services to the new territory or new segment of the customer. And this sizable investment actually includes investment in fixed asset, and fixed asset meaning that helps company to earn money. I mean some kind of earning asset we can say, and that increase earning power of a company and value. So when undertaking large investment, firms typically have to answer two important questions. First one, whether the project is good enough. I mean, whether the project will contribute some of the positive value to the shareholder wealth maximization goal. Second, how company will finance, because funding any project, company needs to incur upfront cost. So that upfront cost, how company will manage, whether company will issue equity or go to bank and take loan or issue bond or select the combination of these two. So in our chapter we will focus on only the first part, I mean the first question, whether the selected project is good enough to add value to the shareholder wealth maximization goal. Let's move on. In this chapter actually we have several learning goals. First of all, we definitely will discuss the key elements of the capital budgeting process, and then several tools and technique to evaluate different alternative investment project. So before going there, we need to discuss several terminology related to capital budgeting technique. First, capital expenditure and then operating expenditure. By the definition there, we can easily say if any expenditure or investment will give benefit only for 1 year or less than 1 year, that we can say our operating expenditure. If we can have benefit more than 1 year, then we can say that investment is all about capital expenditure. So in other words, if you invest in fixed asset that will help you to earn money, that's our capital expenditure. If you invest somewhere that you will get benefit only for 1 year, say advertising for current year, that advertising actually will capture your promotional expenditure for only 1 year. But if you invest in any purchasing build or land, so benefit of that land or bill will continue, I mean more than 1 year. So that's our capital expenditure. Capital budgeting categories. So several areas in companies investment opportunity that requires a huge amount of fund allocation. For example, replacement to continue profitable operations. If we say some operation or facility is well functioning and to maintain its current level of production, company definitely needs to replace some of its item, some equipment, or even some employees too. Second, replacement to reduce cost. For example, you are using a car that is running on fuel only, but if you want to reduce your operational cost, then you can replace your fuel based car to the battery based car. I mean the hybrid one. So in order to minimize your cost, you can replace your existing equipment or employee or whatever you need. Just ultimate result would be reducing the cost. Third and fourth, expansion of existing production market or entering into a new market. This actually requires some kind of estimating the growth of the demand for your products or in that particular area. So this would be a go or no go decision. And if it says okay, this would be a good decision to entering into a new market, then allocate your financial resources. If not, then think of something else. Contraction decision, say Walmart in our perimeter. If you say in the back end there are I mean a big space. So in some other Walmarts, I mean other location, you see the space is same. The back end space actually rented to Subway, to McDonald, or some restaurant. So that means if Walmart has a huge capacity, but that huge capacity not used by Walmart itself, then company, the Walmart can actually rent that excess capacity to someone else's. So that's our contraction decision. Or other we can say during our COVID period, company's operational capability hasn't been used fully, I mean 100%. So if company used 50% of its capacity, then company can rent the remaining 50 to someone else, meaning contract is its operation. Six, safety or environmental project. If we talk about companies actually lives, I mean belongs to our community, our society. So if society as a whole does better, then company definitely will do better. If society does not do good, company cannot do good. So companies actually need to take care of the society. For example, minimize releasing toxic gas to the air, and taking care some of the natural properties, for example trees, or some sanitation or similar activities. So this actually not directly profit generating project, but still company needs to take care of those. Company needs to invest or allocate a lump sum amount of money in that respect. So this requires a capital budgeting and evaluation process. Seven, mergers. So mergers and acquisition involves a huge amount of investment just to expand company's operation. How? Say company A wants to expand its operation by buying another company, company B. So to buy company B, company needs to evaluate B's potential growth, performance, profitability, and company A's financial resources. So everything should be in equilibrium, and that requires capital budgeting evaluation process. Other activities may include, say, at the beginning of our semester, I don't know where you got your parking, but I didn't get my parking in this near this building, so I had to park my car little far away. So if same case happen for Walmart, then Walmart may need to expand its parking space. Or if Walmart wants to entertain its top executive, can allocate some financial resources so that the CEO can travel somewhere else, or enjoy some vacation time in luxurious location, or hotel. So that requires a lump sum amount of money. So all inclusive requires companies to invest or allocate a lump sum amount of financial resources. Capital budgeting steps. There are several steps in capital budgeting process. The first one is proposal generation. Think you work in a financial department of a company, and company has several other departments, for example marketing, operation, human resource, um, said, transportation department, or legal department, accounting department. So the project or proposal will come from all department across the company, and uh, that those proposal actually will be sent to finance department, because finance department has the financial resources to allocate to fund those potential project. Second, review and analysis. As a financial manager, you cannot accept all of the proposals, or you cannot reject all of the proposals. Definitely you need to conduct a formal analysis to see the merit and demerits of individual project that you receive from several units within the companies. And once you identify the merits and demerits of individual projects, then third step is to be decide to take the decision whether you allocate your financial resources or not. And if particular project requires a lump sum amount of money, then the company's top executive should allocate or approve it. If company's top executive cannot approve it, then that decision making will go to the board of directors. They will accept it. Fourth step is implementation. So once your project has been approved, then the next thing is to allocate resources, financial resources, and the concerning department will carry out the project, I mean implement the project. And if the project is really big, then the project occurs uh, step by step. For example, in step by step, then company can compare what is the actual performance or outcome compared to the projected one. If actual performance is far below the projected expectation or performance, then company can contract, company can shut down, or company can take it into another route to optimize. The last step is follow up. This is the last step and most least important step in this capital budgeting process, but still I will say this is one of the most important step. So when proposals are evaluated and decision made, and concerning departments implemented it already, and then if that implementation not checked periodically, then the divergence between the actual performance and then expected performance may vary. And if you do not check, then the ultimate loss would be huge at the end. Just like regular checkup thing, you can relate this idea with your say group project. Say you are in a group that consists of 3 or 4 students, and there is a deadline to submit the project in class project, for example, and you are the leader of that group, and you instructed your group member, okay, do this part, do that part, and submit your task by this deadline. If you wait until that deadline, most likely on that deadline, many of your group member will say, oh, I didn't get chance to finish it, can you extend it, or someone can say, I did it, but you will not be satisfied. So to have to get the best or better outcome, you should check, you should monitor periodically, just to balance your actual performance and expected performance. So this is one of the most important step, I'll say. Other terminology, I can say independent projects are mutually exclusive project. Just read, independent projects are defined project whose cash flows are unrelated to one another. The acceptance of one project does not eliminate the acceptance of others project from further consideration. Mutually exclusive projects are projects that compete with one another, so that the acceptance of one eliminates from further consideration all other projects that serve a similar function. Hmm, the one example could better simplify this concept is, say, our fin 7350 managerial finance class not online, just it is a regular class, face-to-face class, on campus class. You have to be on the campus to be in the class. Then consider you also work in a day. So consider a day you have on campus class and you have job. So you cannot attend to this event same time. Say if you want to come to the class, you have to sacrifice your job on that day. Or if you want to join your job or working, then you have to sacrifice your class. So selecting one actually affects selecting the other one. So that is our mutually exclusive. But since our class is online, so I am recording this video, and attending this class and attending your work actually not influencing one another. For example, you can see this recorded video anytime you want, maybe night time or even tomorrow or day after tomorrow, whenever you get time. So this video recording, listening to this video recording actually does not affect your work hour. So this is our independent projects. Just think this way. Then fund. By definition, unlimited funds meaning you have the capacity, you have the financial resources to approve or accept all the independent projects, no problem. But capital rationing meaning you have number of projects but your fund is limited, so you cannot allocate your limited fund to all project. So definitely you have to sacrifice or you have to eliminate some of the project based on their potential performance. Acceptance and rejection criteria. This is some kind of evaluation of the potential project, that if potential project actually accept or reach certain level, then you can accept it. If not, then definitely you can reject it, you can go for the alternative one. Ranking approach, this is just kind of ordering stuff. Say you have 5 projects, you can rank those 5 projects based on the minimum cost or based on the maximum performance or return those projects can offer. So say 5 project, if you have monetary resources for funding 3 projects, definitely you will select the top 3 that offer the highest rate of return. So this is the one approach, but mostly we will be using accept or reject approach to select the best project out of several alternatives. Okay, so let's talk about 2 projects, A and B, and if we move on further, okay, we see the cash outflows and inflows. Project A and project B, we see initial investment amount, I mean the sizable amount of fund company needs to pay upfront. For company for project A, that is our $42,000, and project B $45,000. And see, if you invest this amount down in the road for next 5 years, you will receiving these cash flows. So $14,000 equal amount for next 5 years for project A, and different amount for project B. And if we put those values in a timeline, then we can see like this. So $42,000 would be our initial investment for project A, and $45,000 initial investment for project B, and then next 5 years we will be receiving this amount. So this is the first year, this is second year, and 10,000 equal amount for next 3 years, and this is our initial investment. So this should be negative figures. So this will come like positive figure. This is our cash inflow and this is our cash outflow. Okay, to evaluate these projects, we have a project A and project B, and how we can evaluate these 2 projects. Definitely we need to rely on some tools and technique, some capital budgeting technique. So let's talk about the type of project. Project A and project B are mutually exclusive. The way I talked, mutually exclusive meaning if you select one project, then selecting the project will affect the second one. Selecting the second one, if you select project A, you cannot select project B, then you have to reject the project B, or if you select project A, you have to reject project A. So this is our mutually exclusive. But if project A and B are independent, then no matter, you can select project A, you can select project B. That's fine. Then how you can evaluate and select the best one? There are several approaches and techniques. So these are our method, tools and technique that will help us to evaluate potential projects performance to select the best one. Okay, payback period method, this is our first one. By definition, payback method is the amount of time required for a firm to recover its initial investment in a project as calculated from cash inflows. So cash inflows, I'm going back to the number again. So this is our original example. So payback period method meaning number of years you have to wait to get your initial investment back. If we talk about project A, our initial investment is $42,000. So this we have to invest today, and we have to wait for next 5 years for this cash inflow. But how long we will wait to get this $42,000 back? Definitely we have to wait first year. Definitely we have to wait second year. So 14,000 and 40,000, 28,000, and we have to wait one more year. So 14,000. So this three will be total $42,000. So up to 3 years we have to wait to get our $42,000 back. So this 3 years, if we say number three would be our payback period for project A. This is the idea. Okay, so to calculate project payback period method, we can use this simple formula: number of years prior to full recovery plus unrecovered cost at start of the year divided by cash flow during full recovery year. Very easy. Okay, consider our example, project A and project B. So project A, this is an annuity. The payback period is 3 years. So $42,000 our initial investment and $14,000 our annual cash inflow. So if we divide $42,000 by $14,000, our ultimate result is 3 years. That is our payback period for project A. If we go for project B, then we say project B has different amounts of cash flow throughout the project life cycle, meaning next 5 years. And again, I am going back to the formula: number of years prior to full recovery. Number of years prior to full recovery. So full recovery, $28,000 definitely we need to get $45,000, then 12,000. These two together would be how much? 40,000. And then next for my next one is unrecovered cost at start of year dividing by cash flow during full recovery year. So unrecovered cost meaning $40,000 we get back, and but our total investment is $45,000. So unrecovered is $5,000. So 40, I mean 2 years, 2 years. These 2 years we are going to get $40,000 back divided by unrecovered amount. So 45 minus 40, unrecovered is 5,000 divided by cash flow in that year. So our next year is 3, cash flow is $10,000. So if we divide, then how much it would be? So 2 plus 0.5. So in other words, we can say 2.5 years for project B. This is our payback period method formula. Okay. Now see 2.5 years for project B, and the very first method of evaluating project payback period method has some benefits and demerits, pros and cons. So if we talk about the benefit side of payback period method, we can say Payback method is widely used by large firms to evaluate small projects and by small firms to evaluate most projects. And definitely is calculation is very simple. You can easily calculate it. I mean, now just think of numbers of year you need to wait to get your initial investment back. That's it. And by measuring how quickly the firm recovers its initial investment, payback period method also gives implicit consideration to the timing of cash flows. Meaning, you have if you have to wait for shorter period of time versus if you have to wait for longer period of time, the project that has shorter period of time to get your initial investment back definitely would be less riskier. So in that respect, you can say payback period method can include the timing of cash flow perspective. And then fourth one, the same idea can be related to risk exposure. If you wait longer period of time, you will be exposed to risk more than short period of time. So this actually the benefit of payback period method. And if we talk about the demerits of payback period method, then we can see the most three important drawback. First drawback of payback period method is um, merely subjectively determined number. So subjectively determined number, uh, what it is, if I go back to here, how we will accept or reject project based on payback period method. Think, if the payback period is less than the maximum acceptable payback period, then we will accept the project. But if payback period is greater than the maximum acceptable payback period, then reject the project. This is our selection criteria. And if we say our project A, based on the data in the previous slide, project A 3 years is a payback period method, project B 2.5 years payback period method. So if we say acceptable payback period is 2.7 years, this is our acceptable payback period method, and A and B are mutually exclusive project, then which project we should accept or which project we should reject? So this is our 2.7 is the threshold. So definitely less than 2.5 is less than 2.7, we should accept the project B, right? Because 3 years we will not wait more than 2.7 years. This is our threshold, the acceptance criteria. So we have to reject the first project A. But drawback of payback period method is where I get this 2.7 years. This is completely subjective number. I mean, based on companies managers experience, exposure, or general idea. So this acceptance number actually has no mathematical background. So this is one drawback. Second is this approach actually fails to take fully into account the timing factor in the value of money. So say idea is, for first project $42,000 investment and 14K equal cash inflow for next 5 years. So if we consider 314, I mean 3 years, first year, second year, and third year. So, and today we are making $42,000. So this $14,000 actually will not be the same value in I mean today. This $14,000 will not be the same value today. Same, this $14,000 will not be the same value today. So that actually ignores by the payback period method. Third, payback period is its failure to recognize cash flow that occur after the payback period method. Meaning going back to the original example, that would be better. So this one, remember, we have 2.5 years payback period method, but after years we have $10,000, 10,000, 20,000, and the 5,000 from here, so 25,000. And this one we have 28. It's still A is better, but in our payback period method selection criteria, we selected project B. But after our payback period years, we will be receiving less money for project B, but project A will be receiving more money. So this part actually ignored by payback period method. And I can give you example for all of this drawback. First, try with this personal finance example, project evaluation by payback period method. This $20,000 is the initial investment, and this is the interest income out of that investment, and $25,000 percentage is tax bracket. So there are two conditions. One, cash flow could be $4,000 or $6,000 per year on 5% interest rate. Now, what would be the after tax cash flow? Since we have to adjust 25% tax rate, so if $4,000 is the interest income for first case, after tax would be 3,000, and then second one is $4,500. Now think about the acceptance criteria for SEMA. SEMA requires the investment to pay itself back in terms of after tax cash flow in less than 7 years. Then consider if 3,000 is the cash flow, or if 500 is the cash flow, and our initial investment is $20,000. Then how many years we have to wait to get this $20,000 back? See, $3,000 is cash flow, after tax cash flow. So 20,000 divided by 3,000 is 6.67 years, and the second case 4.44 years cash flow. So now tell me, if acceptance criteria or threshold is 7 years, which project we should accept? Or should we accept this project because it could have two potential outcome? Cash flow maybe 3,000 or maybe $4,500. But no matter if cash flow is 3,000 or 4,500, in each case the payback period years is less than the maximum payback period, the threshold level. So either case you will accept the project. But if these numbers are greater than 7 or 8 years, then definitely you will say either case you have to reject the project. This is the idea. Okay, now going to the drawback or demerits of payback period methods, consider two different projects, gold and silver. Each project requires same amount of investment, $50,000 and $50,000, and see their cash flow for next 5 years. And no matter you select project gold or silver, in each case you have to wait 3 years. So based on payback period method, capital budgeting technique or method, you have no choice between these two projects, because no matter you select gold, you have to wait 3 years. You select silver, you have to wait 3 years to get your $50,000 back. But what's the drawback? The first drawback is, consider silver. The first year, how much is the cash inflow? $40,000. What about project gold? Only $5,000. So you are receiving more money at the beginning. So definitely, if you select project this, you are ignoring this benefit, because if you receive more money today, you can reinvest and you can earn more money on it. But if you receive $5,000 next year, how much you could earn based on this $5,000 if you reinvest? But definitely lower than this amount. See, when you receive $40,000, in next, in third year, but you are receiving $40,000 at the first year, so you can earn more money on it. So this part actually ignored by capital, the first capital budgeting technique. That's our payback period method. Second drawback of payback period method is after payback period years, cash flow. Consider project X and project B, and project X 2 years, project Y 3 years. So definitely you will say project X is better because we have to wait 2 years only to get our $10,000 back, and that's a reasonable argument, and that's okay. But consider 2 years. So if you wait 2 years, this, and after 2 years, how much you will be getting, you will be receiving? Third year $1,000, and fourth year $100, and then fifth year only the $100. But here you have to wait 3 years. Okay, you will wait 3 years, but consider cash flows after that 3 years. So $7,000 you will be receiving, but here only $1,200. See, this part actually cannot be ignored because this is a lump sum amount of money. So if you rely on the capital budgeting payback period method to evaluate project, so you may fall trap on this disadvantage. So you have to be very careful on this. So payback period method has some drawback we already discussed. One of the drawbacks is timing factor. So to overcome this timing factor drawback of payback period method, something added, the discounted. So if you consider this discounted payback period, then we can say the timing factor actually completely taken care of period method. So discounted payback period gives the number of years it takes to break even from undertaking the initial expenditure by discounting future cash flows. Works. Consider company A has project requiring an initial cash outlay $3,000. The project is expected to return $1,000 each period for the next 5 years. Would be our cash inflow, $3,000 would be our cash outflow at the beginning, and approximate discounting rate is 4%. Then how much would be the payback period years in this respect? We have fantastic formula for estimating payback period years. Discounted payback period years is this. So this is, the definitions are there. This ln is natural logarithm, I is the total sum of investment you need to incur at the beginning, R is the discounting rate, C is what? Annual cash flow. So what could be the answer? What could be the discounted payback period in years in this respect? So ln meaning natural logarithm minus natural logarithm 1 minus I. 1 minus I meaning total sum. This is our $100,000, and R is the rate. So our rate is 5%, and C is the annual cash flow. How much is our annual cash flow? This for $24,000. So if you just plug values in it, you will get it. Log 1 minus 100,000 times R our discounting rate, 5 divided by C is our annual cash flow, 24K, and then bracket close, then divide again natural logarithm 1 plus rate 0.05, and if you calculate this number you will get the payback period years. So this actually better than only simple payback period. Okay, second capital budgeting technique is net present value approach, and see the formula. NPV Okay, so NPV, how we can get it? NPV meaning the amount of money you can see, and you can say this amount of money actually will be added to the shareholders wealth maximization goal purpose. How we can get it? You have to calculate the present value of cash inflows. So present value of cash inflows, we can say this minus initial investment amount. And see, this is the formula. This is the formula for estimating present value of all future cash inflows minus CF0, meaning our initial investment amount. And this part, I mean the part I circle, this is just simply present value of annuity. And consider this formula. If you remember something from time value of money chapter, this is the present value of annuity. How we can get it? And this is the way. So present value of future cash inflow minus initial investment. If you have something, that means you can say that something will be added to the shareholders' wealth. How we can decide to accept or reject one project based on NPV? First, if NPV is greater than 0, accept the project. If NPV is greater than less than 0, definitely you will reject the project. So if NPV is greater than 0, meaning the firm will earn a rate of a return greater than its cost of capital. So that excess return will be added to the shareholders' wealth. That's the idea. Okay, going back to our original example, project A and B, and if we say we want to estimate this one based on NPV method, so then how we can get it? If discounting rate is 10%, what would be the NPV for these two projects? So $42,000 our investment, initial investment, and these are the cash inflows. So if we discount this cash inflow back to today at a rate of 10%, then that would be our $53,071 minus our initial investment $42,000. So the net difference is $11,071. That's our NPV. So this $11,071 will be added to the shareholders' wealth. Same approach. If we discount this cash inflows for project B at a rate of 10%, then we will be having NPV. I mean present value of this cash inflows would be $55,924. $55,924, and initial investment is $45,000. So the difference is $10,000 something. Now again, let's consider and see, in our selection criteria is if NPV is greater than 0, accept the project. But consider project B and project A are mutually exclusive. I mean, you have to select only one of the projects. Then which project you will select? The simple answer is NPV for project B is 10,000 something, NPV for project A is $11,000 something. So definitely you will pick the highest one that will be added to the shareholders' wealth. So you should select project A because NPV is more than project B. And you can calculate NPV using calculator or Excel. That's fine. If you don't know much about calculation on calculator, financial calculator, we will be using mostly Excel for solving our mathematical problem throughout the semester. So don't worry. So this would be our mostly used tools. We'll be using Excel sheet to get the NPV. So NPV for project A 11,000 something, for project B 10,000 something. So of course choose the project A because the value is greater than the value for project B. Okay. Another technique is profitability index. So profitability index is similar concept to the net present value approach. Remember, if you go back to the NPV formula, you will see NPV we can get from this part, from this part minus CF0. But here we are not deducting initial investment, rather we are dividing it. See the formula here. Okay, so selection criteria is, if your profitability index is greater than 1, select it. If it is less than 1, definitely it's a lost project, you should reject it. Okay, so consider our project A and B. This is our present value of future cash inflows divided by initial investment. So first one is 1.26, second one 1.24. Again, if they are independent project, you can select both of them because the values is greater than 1. But if they are mutually exclusive, you should select the one that has highest profitability index. So in this case, it would be project A. Okay, net present value, another approach is economic value added. So net present value is the cumulative one, the combined one, but economic value added is the present value, but this is for only 1 year. You can say this is purely economic profit. Now I think one example could give you better clarification. So consider one project require $1 million upfront, that is our initial investment, and this project will give us $120,000 cash inflows, is kind of annuity, and cost of capital is 10%. So our total amount is $1 million and cost of capital is 10%. Consider how much is our net present value, NPV, meaning we have to get the present value of future cash inflows. So $120,000 per year cash flow, and if we divide by cost of capital, that would be this portion minus our initial investment. So that leaves us $200,000. But economic value added, consider only 1 year. Say first year you will be receiving this $120,000 cash inflows, and how much you have to pay interest as at a rate of 10%. So 10% on 1 million is $100,000. The difference is $20,000. So this is our economic value added, I mean pure economic okay. Internal rate of return, another technique of evaluating capital budgeting on large investment project, is internal rate of return. If you just pause this video and go back to NPV or profitability index formula, you see mostly NPV formula. This is exactly NPV formula. You can say this is our NPV. If you just omit 0, this is our NPV. So our selection criteria for NPV was, if this value, NPV value, has something more than 0, we should accept the project. If it is 0 or less, we should reject the project. But if NPV is exactly 0, then how much would be this discounting rate, the discounting rate? In other words, we can say how much would be this discount, I mean this return rate of return. So that discounting rate or rate of return is our IRR, and IRR is the internal rate of return. If you select IRR to evaluate any project, how you can select or reject? See, if IRR is greater than the cost of capital, accept it. If IRR is the less than the cost of capital, reject it. If IRR is less than the cost of capital, meaning that's your loss. So definitely, as a rational investors, you will not select this one. If IRR is greater than the cost of capital, that is your gain. You will select this one. Okay. So if we apply IRR in our original example, then we can say this IRR for project A is 19.9%, and then IRR for project B is 21.7%. Then which project we should select? Going back to the selection criteria, if IRR is greater than the cost of capital, then accept the project. If IRR is less than the cost of capital, reject the project. So we don't know how much is our cost of capital, but if it is 10%, cost of capital is 10%, then project A 19.9% is way better, way greater than 10%. Project B, it is far way greater than cost of capital 10%. So if these two are independent project, select both of them. If these are mutually exclusive, select definitely the highest one, because this one will give you the highest rate of return. You can use Excel sheet to get your IRR. I mean here. Okay. If you just remember some of the concept, when we use NPV, then we selected project A most likely. But if we use project IRR, then we said project B is better, because IRR for project B is 21.7%. IRR for project A is 19.9%. So project B is better. So why we have conflicting results? There are several reasons for this. There is no guarantee that NPV and IRR will rank projects in the same order. However, both methods should reach the same conclusion about the acceptability or non-acceptability of the project. Then why there is conflict? Let's discuss. This is simple cash flow, capital budgeting example. Consider your personal finance example. This is our initial investment and this is our future cash inflows. Then should you accept this project or not? You can apply NPV, you can apply IRR, you can apply simply the payback period method, and then let me know. Okay. One graphical representation of this projects, IRR and NPV will give us the better idea. So NPV, see, if we ask you that which project I should accept, A or B. See, A or B, and this line represent net present value. So in this case, A is greater than B, but here B is greater than A. Then which project I should select? Now consider IRR. So IRR, how we can select project based on IRR? The one selection criteria is if IRR is greater than cost of capital, then select the project. If IRR is less than the cost of capital, reject the project. So consider our cost of capital is 10.7, say 11%. Our cost of capital is 11%. Then which project would be better? If our cost of capital is greater than 10.7%, for example 11%, so we have to be here. So blue one is the better. Then select project B. But if our cost of capital is say 9%, then say which project is better? Red one, project A. You see the idea. So this context actually gives different result for evaluation of these two projects. We have to consider the cost of capital. Okay. Another reason why NPV and IRR give some conflicting result is the idea of reinvestment of the cash inflows. IRR actually consider that those cash inflows would be reinvested at the rate of IRR, but NPV assumes that those cash inflows would be reinvested at the cost of capital. So these are the reasons why their results are conflicting. So this is another example. Okay, just consider, say cost of capital is 10% and IRR is 15%. So our cash inflows is this. This is different project, and initial investment is $170,000. And conflicting result is coming from the idea that NPV consider this cash flow would be reinvested at the rate of cost of capital. IRR assumed that this $52,000, $78,000 would be reinvested at the IRR, at the rate of IRR. So that actually makes difference. So if we say cost of capital meaning 10%, so this $52,000 will be reinvested for next 2 years, because if you invest here, you can wait 1 year, 2 years. So 2 years at 10% rate, future value would be this. And this $78,000 you can reinvest for only 1 year. So 1 year at 10% would be $10,000, and last $100,000 you cannot have any time to earn interest on it. So if you add these three, your total future value would be $248,000. But if you reinvest this $52,000 for 2 years at the rate of 15%, then how much would be your future value? This 78,000, this, and if you sum this three, this would be $258,000. See the difference. Okay. Now one capital budgeting technique is MIRR. Meaning MIRR, internal rate of return, that's fine, just added M meaning a modified internal rate of return. How we can modify this internal rate of return? And you see, if these cash flows are reinvested at the rate of internal rate of return, that is inflated rate of return, 10% versus 15%, so 5% is more, and that is inflated rate of return. So to take care of this inflated rate of return, we need to adjust, we need to modify it. So that modified internal rate of return is our MIRR. So how we can get it? Let's talk. Do we have it something somewhere? Okay. First of all, we have to estimate the terminal value of the cash inflows at the weighted average cost of capital, and we have to discount that terminal value to equate the initial investment amount. I think the example should better clarify this. So $100 is our initial investment, that is our PV. $10 first year cash inflow, $60 second year, and $80 third year cash flow. So if we reinvest this $10, how many years we can reinvest? 2 years, because this and this, and this $60 1 year, only this, and $80 no. So then how much would be our future value? How much would be our future value? $10 at 10%, this. So 3 future value would be total 158.1 10 cent. So this is our terminal value, and if you discount back to get $100, how much would be your discounting rate? Discounting rate. So that discounting rate is our modified rate of return. See, just simply single payment present value of present value formula. This is our present value, this is our future value, 1 plus discounting rate. So this is our MIRR. So this 16.5 is the modified internal rate of return. Here, one example is this: if cost of capital is 10%, what would be the IRR, what would be the MIRR, what would be the NPVs? This is kind of homework you can try. Okay, one important things to remember is the MIRR is superior to the regular IRR as an indicator of a project's true rate of return. So if you have to select one option out of MIRR or IRR, then definitely you should better pick the MIRR instead of IRR, because IRR is the inflated one. And if you have to select one out of NPV or IRR or MIRR, definitely NPV is the better, because by NPV you can exactly say how much money you will contribute, or I mean the project will contribute to the shareholders wealth maximization goal. That's the better approximate, the better exact idea, figure you can say, okay, this amount would be added to the shareholders wealth. But IRR, this is internal rate of return or modified internal rate of return, you cannot say the figure. Okay, I think this is pretty much all from this chapter. Hopefully it will give you some sense of capital budgeting techniques.